Hello there, welcome friends. This is Simone, your favorite neighborhood nerds. I am filming the intro to the second part of my ink swatching video. I've swatched 30-ish inks, samples from all of the friends that have sent mail to me this past 6 months or so. And I thoroughly enjoyed getting it all done in one go, but the video was 1.5 hours long. And so I decided to find a good cutting point and cut it in half. This is part 2. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, check it out up in the cards above. I hope you have a lot of fun. Let me know which inks you like of the ones that I swatched in this video, and which ones you used and enjoyed, and which ones you probably wouldn't use because they're way too light for you. I hope you have a lot of fun. I will see you again sometime soon. Bongo Box Calvados is an probably for me unattainable ink, so I'm gonna be very gentle and careful with this specific color. So, where were we? Yes, Jill Larson. I will link her YouTube channel in the description box below. I think maybe why I'm attracted to her stuff so much is because in theory, I would like to be more like her, because in practice, I'm that person who loves structure, but also craves the whimsical randomness. And it seems like when I'm doing things on YouTube with organizing or so, I'm always the one who makes the table, who makes a spreadsheet, who goes about it structured and organized. But actually, I would love it to be completely explosive and free. But then I can't deal with explosive, whimsical, and free. That is probably why she appeals to me so much. And she shared her planner stack or Techo Kaigi, all the journals that she uses, and also her pen log, and it's not sorted alphabetically, it's not written on the line, it's completely random. That's what it looks like, and it appeals to me so much. So if you want to check out that video, I will link it in the description box below. And if you have some idea on why it appeals to me so much, I would love to hear your theory, because I'm sometimes like, I know that it appeals, but when I do this for like maybe a year, I will then be completely exhausted by the whimsy. But also, if I do it really super structured, that will happen to me as well. I guess I'm just not made for real life applications of whatever. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and let me know how do you even document that? Is that something that is important to you? I've been noticing, this is Pilot Iroshizuku Sungyo, and I am going to pass this along to a friend. Nope, that's not what we do. Here, this is another really dark, deep wine red. I want to ink this in a pen. I haven't yet. Like, on the one hand, this is a lifeline. I need structure, but also I'm getting so sick of those structures and boundaries after a certain time. You've been following me and you've seen me struggle with those monthly currently inked. See, that's the same thing, just in blue. So yeah, there's that. Where was I before that? Now I've lost my train of thought. P.I. Sun, is it S.Y? Sun Kyo. It's very sheeny. There's a lot of gold on top of this, which might be an issue. So we'll see. It does. It really, it does dry. I wonder how this obviously looks on Tomoe River paper, if this gold sheen here is going to be even more prevalent. Maybe this is not a good ink for me. And then these were also ink samples from Amy, from Maringul the Star Child to Pilot Urushi Sungyo. No, this Tom Studio Cherry Bomb is a shimmer. She loves Tom Studio inks. She says she has really great experiences with all of their inks. So I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. I have not used Tom Studio inks yet. I don't even know if I have samples besides this, what is it called? Cherry Bomb. That's a very pink cherry though. It's more magenta than cherry. Oh my God, where am I picking up those blue pigments? There's one more. I love dropping in water into these big splotches. I just love what happens. It dries to this blue, but there is a lot of magenta. Blue blurple? No, that's not a blurple. This is still very much magenta, but there is definitely a blue hue over the places where it already dried. And then let's write with it. Tom Studio Cherry Bomb. Yeah, this is a lovely, it's less, this is very pleasing to the eye, even though the color of the ink looks very pungent. Pungent is maybe not the right word, but you know, very loud, very wowy, wowy. Oh, you know what I could do? I completely depleted my budget. It's 74 cents left, and I'm getting a new pen, and that new pen is eyesore pink, and I feel like I should switch my FA nib to this. That would be so cool. I need to remember that when that pen actually arrives, because that would be so fun. And I would love to see how the FA nib works with the shimmer inks. Could be a fun experiment. So yeah, where were we? Is this, am I done talking about this? Is there more that, what am I doing? Okay, next ink. Monteverde Moonstone. Please, if you sent this to me, is this from you, Wendy Sue? I am super confused right now. What the heck? So, oh, this looks gold. That's an interesting ink. And then there's like this orange stays on there, and then it falls out into this amber, even almost. Another blue. What the hecky? Interesting. This is super interesting too. Let's drop a water drop in here because we can. And then move this a little around too. I like this. I didn't expect I'm snob. I'm a snob. Yes. We've established it. I don't really have an interest in using Monteverde inks. Why though? What is that? What am I even saying? Why? Because people talk badly about them quite a bit. And I think I'm prejudiced, I guess. The one Monteverde ink that I have is Monteverde Chameleon, and I actually really like using that. So maybe I should just shut up and stop being prejudiced about it. This is Rohrer and Klingner Blue-Eyed Mary. I bought a bottle after I swatched this ink. Also passing this along to a friend because everybody should have some Blue-Eyed Mary in their lives. I think if you want the perfect teal in this perfect saturation hue, then you need to get your hands on Rohrer and Klingner Blue-Eyed Mary. I think there's nothing better than that ink. Even any of the blues from Pilot Iroshizuku aren't as amazing as this one. Rohrer and Klingner Blue-Eyed Mary. Maybe you might be able to find a similar hue in Diamine inks, but every time I'm using one of their blue-ish teal turquoise colors, it's like it's just a sliver off. This is nice, but this is nicer. The Rainier Blue. The Rainier Blue is also definitely blue if you compare it to Rohrer and Klingner Blue-Eyed Mary. This is Inkebara Cyan. Why? Well, I do the same thing. I pass on samples that I purchased that just don't work for me. So I totally get it. But still, it sometimes is so weird wondering how things ended up with me. Yeah, this is more green than this. This is just the perfect shade. And I'm sorry if I made you want this now and you're not able to get your hands on it anymore. I did not check availability. I know that when I went to get my bottle after I received this sample, the first thing that I did after swatching it is I went online and checked who had it in stock, and Vanessa was sold out. And Jet Pen still had it in stock. So I bought it right there, then and there. I didn't even think about it twice. Oh, this is interesting. It did not come out easily, like, the pulling off the color. There we go. There's a water drop in here. And there I see a little bit of that yellow that is also in the Deception Pass and Elliott Bay. It's not as visible in Gasworks Park. And I don't see the Blue-Eyed Mary falling apart into the bits and pieces as does the Inkebara Cyan. So maybe inky exploration wise, the Inkebara Cyan is definitely the more interesting one if you were to, explore it in one of those sketchbooks. Journalized Deep Space Aurora. So I've had a sample of a journalized ink before. Oh, okay. I don't think I'm going to swatch this. Even if this is just the shimmer, the fact that it just globs together like this makes it sus. So yeah, no, this is definitely not an ink that I want to have to use to swatch. Wearing Ghoul, a room of one's own. Now, is this an ink that I don't think I'm going to swatch this. I think this definitely looks very similar, and I'm just going to pass this along without. This worked. It did not look orangey or these other colors, and then I can just pass this along to a friend. What else do we have? Birmingham Penco Sterling Silver. I think this is one of those inks that one of my friends sent to me when I was looking for a pencil-like ink. And then this would probably be used in an extra fine nib. Well, this is how we do this. It's very red. Oh, it's one of those bloody inks. Can you see this? This reddy hue. This, for some reason, reminds me of blood, and it makes me feel icky. I'm not afraid of my own blood. I'm not afraid of anybody's blood per se. But for some reason, when ink goes down like this, the same happens to me with Diamine Autumn Oak. I feel icky. It's weird, right? Sterling Silver, Birmingham Penco, BPC. But interestingly enough, look how it dries on these places. That is so interesting. From swatching this and seeing it go down this red, I would never consider this an ink that I would use to have an ink that is pencil-like. But it seems like it dries down very pencil-y. So this is definitely worth exploring more. I am going to for sure keep that and put it in my pen. And this is the pen that I am exploring different inks in. I am currently using Kaweco Smoky Gray, I believe is the color. And I've inked this maybe in March. So using the samples in this pen will take forever. This is Birmingham Penco Fountain Turquoise. It seems like the turquoise and teal colors have this issue with the dried up dye. There's a lot of crusty stuff on top here, and that's exactly how it was with all of the bottles that I used this past whenever I swatched those. Okay, seems like whoever sent these to me has a type. It's so interesting to me that there's so many teals and turquoises and none of them is the same. I mean, you can say that for all the colors, but it especially comes up with those colors, with this color for me specifically. Maybe because I love them so much, and then I have a hard time. TURQUOISE. Yeah, that was hard. So with pinks and maybe reds and other colors, I'm like, this is similar enough. I can just keep one of them and get rid of the others. And with the teals, what happens to me is I like them all. They're all just that tiny bit different. And so I'm having a hard time letting go of them. which then means that all of the samples that I have are, the majority of them are teals and these turquoise blues. And they're not really different, but they're different enough so that I feel like I have to keep them because I like them so much. Interesting again is that even though it's Birmingham Pen Co., which often has similar color splittage as the wet pen here, this one seems to be very basic, like just one single dye. I always want to say pigment, and I'm using dye and pigment, the words interchangeably. But actually that's not true. A pigment ink is usually an ink that is, there's not a lot of ink in here. That would be permanent, and inks with dyes are most likely not permanent inks. So oh, what the heck is this color? Okay, this is going to be a play ink for sure. There's not a lot of ink left in here, so this can be just used on one of those BPC Riot Ember. The Riot is probably for the loudness of this ink. This is coral, but also maybe not. Let's put some water on this and see what happens. This is so weird. But there's also some orange on top of here. But I mean, I guess coral is a form of pink and orange, maybe. I don't even know what coral actually is, but I've come to learn that some of the colors that I don't know how to describe seem to be coral. And actually, I don't really like coral inks in my fountain pens. So yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting. Now what I'm wondering is, Wearingeul Tinkerbell am I done with talking about all of my journals? I don't know. If you think that I need to elaborate more, please leave a comment down below and I will totally respond to you in the comments. But I don't think I have anything more to add to that, ink journal stack video that I'm thinking of doing. Maybe that would not just be good to show you what you can all do with all of your stuff. Oh my goodness, this is very dark here. There is a lot, but it's very light actually. It just shows you what you can all do, and then maybe it also helps me to see how and why I want to move, how I want to move forward with it. Maybe in my binder I need to add some evaluation. Tinkerbell. It feels that it's not coming off very easily from the nib here, as you saw, or it's just so light and I'm not coping well with light inks, even though I do like them in my Pilot Parallels. But how many inks can you put into Pilot Parallels? I have about 10-ish, maybe even more. And I have so many inks already lined up to be put into my Pilot Parallels that I probably have enough ink for the next 4 or 5 years, just like I have enough ink for the next 20 or 30 years for my fountain pens. How many? This is not even relevant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then I have one more, 13 Pilot Parallels at the moment. So next one, I have 5 more. That's okay. I want to swatch those together because they, Caroline, the glass bead game is also wearing gold. Caroline or Caroline sent me those two inks and she swatched them on watercolor paper, I believe. Oh, those swatches are so beautiful. Oh, I want to, you know, just let's just make watercolor swatch cards and hang them on the wall. It's totally fine. Just for fun. Oh wow. Is this even, but this is such a great ink to put into a Pilot Parallel. I totally get, I think these are all from Laura, and she sent them over specifically for that. I think I remember that she was like, you know what, I have so many light inks that you should put into your Pilot Parallels. You will love them. And I think I will. Can you see what I'm writing? No, I can't either. The glass bead game. I mean, I totally get the name. I love how this falls apart. This is a ridiculous ink. Who uses this in a fountain pen? I would love to know. And what is your success rate, legibility wise? Let's put some water on here and then just pull this out here. There's nothing to pull out. This is so light that if you water it down, it's basically invisible. Can you read this? Yeah, there it is. But it's definitely a lovely color here. It like blooms out into these. There's this greenish greenish bloom right here, and then it's this almost similar to Diablo Lake, like the colors here in these winey reds. That's this here, and then it moves towards orangey colors. I want to put this onto a bigger page and just see what it does when it blooms. Okay, these were swatched last. Then the last one that I have is Herbin Lit de Thé. I have never had this ink in my collection ever, not as a sample, not as a bottle, never bought the sample, never was gifted the sample, but people have been loving this, and so I was really excited when I received it as a sample. I feel like I have swatched this color before, so there must be similar brown inks in, what was the, maybe it's KWZ Smells Like Coffee. That's what it feels like to me. When it goes down, there is this greenish tint and this red. Okay, so this is Herbin. There's these yellow undertones as well. Not a lot of red. Let's see what happens when we pull out this ink. Let's drop water on here because we can. There we go. Yeah, there is definitely yellowy undertones and some reddish on top. Yeah. Oh, look at sterling silver. I'm really this is very interesting. Wearing Gold Tinkerbell is not as interesting as the glass bead game. And then Fountain Turquoise, as I said earlier, is just one color blob. The Cherry Bomb dried. It's still very bright, but okay. This I'm not, and then these two last ones. You know what? I'm gonna show you what my dip pen looks like. I'm gonna use my Waterman Karen, not Waterman Karen, what am I saying? Waterman Serenity Blue, and show you how that looks. These are both really dark, actually. This is Pannonia and Scriven or Scriven Mur de Pierre Moussou. And it's, I think it's the wall of something, and maybe it's the color of the stones. Could be like moss on top of those stones or something like that. I'm just guessing here, so it could. I had to quickly support my husband with vaccination information, but I'm back. So here we go. Pannonia, Scriven. This is a beautiful mossy green. Scriven 2025 Mur de Pierre Moussou. I think Gourmet Pens Aziza made a video about this ink, possibly about the other one as well, and she talked about what this color, what's special about this color, what it was, where the inspiration was taken from. Oh, nice. There's some blues in here as well. I definitely want to put this in a pen. Maybe not right now. Even though I do have darker colors in my fountain pens, I am really liking the summer vibes that is going on in that collection right now. I must here. Are they summer vibes? I don't even know. It feels summery to me. Definitely more summery than this color. And then last one is Mondu Terra. This is an earthy tone. I'm not sure if this is another, like, special ink that was distributed at Scriven, or if she just picked it up there. But it's also really nice. Oh, wow. These are the browns that I like. This is a lovely brown for sure. It's so hot here today. Mondu Terra. Oh, why am I putting the lid on? I don't know. I still have another ink. So let's see how it dries. I have Varangul Pan blah something. Paradiso. It seems like there is definitely some, what could this be? Is there a sheen on top of this? We will see when it's dry. It feels very contained. It's not like, maybe that's just the way that I swatch this ink, but it doesn't fall apart. Maybe that's the right word. There's definitely more green in here. This is more yellow leaning. This is definitely more red, but it has some, wow, look at, this ink is very concentrated. It stains quite a bit. That's how it feels. Yeah, it's very red, but also there's no shimmer in this, right? Where did I put it? Doesn't look like there's shimmer in here. But it's very, very thick, if that makes sense. Okay, let's put the Paradiso here so I have a little bit of space to write and see what this color holds for us. Very light as well, a lot of shimmer. Laura, you're also falling for the same type of ink over and over again. I guess that's just how we all roll. Let me know if you're someone who buys the same ink color over and over again. I definitely would be falling victim to that. Diesel. It's more legible than the glass bead game, that's for sure. And I think I again have a little bit of contamination with this blue right here. It falls apart a little different. Okay, I need to get more of that brown ink out. Okay, looks like it's gone. There we go. I don't seem to be able to move any of the color. Well, there you go. But this is also very light. There's some pinks around here. This is more gray purple. This is more blue here. There we go. So let me show you the folded nib that I made. I do have a video, and I think it's up before this. And then I'm just going to take my Waterman ink and use it. It's a little bit fragile in this direction, like this way, and I'm going to actually follow the instruction completely and make one where it doesn't stick into one of these nib holders, but where I'm taping it to a dowel just to see if that stabilizes, if that helps the stabilization. What happened here? Is this, oh my God, it's all of the crud from here. Okay, wow. So 20, let's see if it's right, because I haven't written with this since yesterday. 20, 25. Sam, I totally haven't practiced with this. As I said, it feels a little fragile, so I need to check out if I find another material to use. This is just a can beverage. Pulse. E is first. But I feel like I don't really want to write with this. I just want to use this to apply ink onto my papers, and so I don't necessarily need this to form any letters. But it would totally work here, as you can see from Friends. Here you go. I highly recommend, if you wanted to do this, try one of those. Try making one of them. You need scissors, beverage can, and some wooden stick that you can use to attach it to. And that's it. And just have fun. All right, so these are all the inks that I have swatched today. We were going to go over the Aurora, the Forever inks here. Okay, so I'm scrubbing here, and there is definitely some light green coming off here. Not in the smoky mauve, but I can see some green over here. So Aqua Surf. So light going over this doesn't do anything, but I felt like scrubbing over it. But when would you do that, actually? let's drip some water onto these. You can see what happens. There's a little bit of green here. Let me get a paper towel and just dip it off and see. Nothing. 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 So what we can say is that this ink, if you would have a water accident, it probably 99% of the writing would stay on the paper. Still be legible. It would not destroy whatever you wrote. If you were to scrub over this with a brush, like really, like here, there's a little bit of green here, then you might smudge it. If you're applying color when you're sketching, you probably are fine, I would assume. But yeah, so I'm really excited to be using, I'm very tempted to keep many of the colors that I have here. There's quite a few that the Blue-Eyed Mary I'm gonna pass along, but I already have a bottle of this. I'm not sure I need to keep both of these, especially when I already have Blue-Eyed Mary and several Pilot Iroshizuku inks. So I'm not sure. My appeal of samples, even though they're lovely and there's a lot of uses for those and a lot of arguments for using samples, I'm currently really just enjoying having a selected amount of ink bottles, mostly, so that the choices aren't overwhelming. I don't have to decide, do I want to use this or this, because I only have maybe one or two. And then I decide between the two, just to make sure that I'm not overwhelmed by decisions and that I'm enjoying this, because I noticed when I had so many samples that I became super overwhelmed by having to make all of these decisions between inks that were almost the same, maybe not in these big swatches, but in the writing. What I definitely want to point out, if I'm looking at these Forever inks and comparing them to the inks that surround them, these inks definitely fall flat. So my inclination to use them would be if I wanted to know this ink looks like this and there's no change. It's legible, there's no shading, there's nothing that will make this hard to read unless it's a light ink. Not like maybe this Wearingeul, A Room of One's Own, where I need to make sure that I am writing legibly, or the Glass Bead Game. That is not an ink that you can use to write with. I want to point out for sure that Deception Pass changed completely. It went down as a blue, and now there's a lot of yellow here, and this is almost green. Birmingham Penco Sterling Silver looked bloody red. I would not have imagined it dried in this color. This is definitely a color to consider as a pencil-like ink. The Bunga Box Calvados went down bright orange, more like the Star Child than it is now. This is super interesting too. Mondo Terra has kind of like it went down very rich and saturated, a lot of red, but it dried down a little bit gray-ish with a gray hue. That is not something that I specifically like, but maybe in writing it would work well. Herbin Lit de Thé, yeah, it's okay. It's not an ink that I think that I need to add to my collection at all. But also, that's not necessarily something that I need to point out for every ink. I'm just trying these samples because I was sent them, and not every sample is an ink that I would want to consider as a bottle. I'm really content with the bottle collection that I currently have. And I've been telling myself that I would love to add inks from small makers, like the wet pen would be maybe bottles that I would add. I love when, for instance, Amarillo Stationery or Mike from Ink Dependence. I recently swatched an ink that I never even heard about, or I didn't consider at the time that it was released, from Sugar Turtle Studio. They did a collaboration, just as Mike from Ink Dependence, with Diamine. Those inks were amazing. So I want to look out for these collaborations and add bottles of those inks to my collection. I feel like I have a good standard range of colors, and then adding those specialty inks to the collection is fine. And then having samples for playing around with inks is also really nice. And sometimes those samples will be ones that I think, oh, I want to see this in a fountain pen. Or it's one that I say, oh, I want to make an inky mess with. Or it's one where I would say, hey, let me put this into parallel and see how that goes. So yeah, that's all the inks that I have received from multiple friends over the course of the last 6 months. I'm super grateful to have so many lovely people in my community who just send ink samples my way, who are understanding when it takes me ages to swatch them, who don't care if I use them at all after swatching them, who just love to share the love for the color with me. And that is so amazing. So thank you so much if you were watching. Thank you so much if you were contributing to this video in any point, in any, function. I will see you again soon. And I have another piece of paper that I can add to my growing wall of ink samples. Now the only thing that I need to figure out is how I make them stick to my wall. I will see you again soon. Until next time, bye.